This video is going to be an extended look at the Lions defense against the Seattle Seahawks in their Week 2 loss 37-31 in overtime. This game is eerily similar to the matchup in 2022. The Seahawks had 28 first downs this year. They had 27 last year. Now, I guess the difference is they didn't roll up 550 yards of offense and not have to punt at all this year. Geno Smith was on fire. I thought he found the tight ends in smart situations. Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN combined for 19 catches on 22 targets, the two touchdowns being to Lockett. Some of the coverage choices the Lions have just were not good ones. It's just a bad matchup in some ways. Those three guys packaged together are really tough. This is going to be a look at some of the big moments and plays and how the defense really let the Lions down clearly. Although it was a tough day for them, obviously, with so many injuries. Get the film started here with first possession. Things did not look well immediately. This is a 1st and 10. I think this is first play. And Anzalone is apexed out here to the twin side. And Kenneth Walker's ability to change direction, his agility is just tough. And one thing I noticed in watching the film of the defense, because it's really what I focused on Monday night when I finally got the film and was able to watch it, was they weren't finishing plays. Across the board, position players were not finishing plays. D linemen were not finishing plays. Edges weren't being set. It looked like a team that didn't have a good week of practices. In some cases, teams don't practice at all at other levels because of weather considerations. At the NFL level in Detroit, clearly they're prepared for that, so that shouldn't be an excuse. But there's so many things that appear to have gotten worse from 1 week after playing the Chiefs. Maybe there was so much preparation for the Chiefs that their preparation for the Seahawks wasn't to that level, number one. Number two, the injuries clearly played a role. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was able to stick it out. This is a indication of how well Geno Smith threw the football. That's a cover three with Branch into the flats. This is the very next, or 2 plays later, sorry, 2nd and 9, first drive still. And there's a little play fake here to the running back. It's cover three. You can see the way this breaks down. Cover three with these guys. You got your 4 underneath droppers. And Geno Smith puts this in the only place where JSN, well, a place where no one can catch it but JSN, who is able to then get his feet in bounds. I think he had 5 catches, maybe 37, 38 yards, something like that. But those guys all had an impact. Still the same drive. Actually, I think the very next play, 3rd and 2. This is a kind of foreshadowing how the rest of the day was going to go defensively. Well, after halftime, I guess. 3rd and 2, and the Lions have 12 players on the field. That cannot happen. Anzalone looks like he's the first guy that realizes it, or maybe it's him and Branch. Gives the Seahawks a first down. Look, maybe they would have got the first down on the 3rd and 2 play call anyway, but giving it to them, you just cannot do to any NFL team. So same drive continues. 2nd and 10. This is going to be a 2 deep, 4 under coverage. And I think Walker's going to get open somewhere in this area around in here between the top of the numbers and the hash. 2 deep, 4 under it's utilized by many teams, but it's somewhat unique in terms of a cover 2. You're normally having 5 under. I think the Lions kind of knew they weren't going to get pressure that often. I wonder if they knew, because they certainly did not get pressure. Now, in this case, I think it's Harris from the bottom side actually gets a QB hit, but Walker gets wide open in the space underneath on a 2nd and 10 for a first down. Going to be a deep comeback here to Metcalf, and my notes say no pressure at all. And I think after this play on this drive, the Lions kind of recognized they weren't getting any pressure. Clearly, Geno Smith and Metcalf, that matchup was too much for Jerry Jacobs on this day. I think Jerry Jacobs is a fantastic football player, but today, Sunday, I should say, things did not work out for him at all. It seemed like Smith was targeting him often, early and often, and Metcalf was a matchup problem, and so, especially on some of the 3rd down situations. Deep comeback, I mean, what do you do with this much space for Metcalf to get off? Looks like cover 3 again. 4 under, 3 deep. But essentially down there to the bottom side, from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline, it ends up being man. Jacobs taking a zone turn. Smith recognizes it, throws the comeback to Metcalf, just too easy. 3 plays later, 3rd and 8 from the 17, again. Going to target Metcalf. I think this is a zone blitz pressure. They bring 2 off this edge to the bottom side. Anzalone and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The DN runs upfield, and it's just too much space for Metcalf. I think you've got zone up here to the top side, which isn't uncommon to the trip side, and then man down here. It's just a matchup that they were not going to win consistently. Metcalf could have been ruled in the end zone, but was not. So it ends up being a goal line situation, and 2 more penalties occur. This is a first and goal. It's a 5-1 look by the Lions. I think this is McNeil that gets through there. I think it's 54. And then, yeah, C.J. Gardner-Johnson gets a penalty for unnecessary roughness. But the inability to finish by multiple guys is what stuck out to me. I didn't see that against the Chiefs. I didn't see, to me, it looks like poor tackling. Charles Harris, I don't know what he's doing on this play. I think he's a really good football player. I don't want to be too critical, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson shouldn't have been in that position. Harris kind of like whiffed from when he was right next to Kenneth Walker III. So that gave him a first down because of the unnecessary roughness penalty. Geno Smith goes right back at Jerry Jacobs. I guess there's a defensive pass interference there. I didn't really see too much contact. You certainly have seen more at times, but a second penalty from inside the 5-yard line, kind of unbelievable. 3 penalties on the first drive for the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker III walks into the end zone for an early touchdown. At that point, I'm sure Lions fans were quite upset with the defense as well. They should be. The standard is high. This year, the expectation is high as well. Second possession, Lions actually get a stop. But check out this 13 personnel toss to the field to, I think it's Zach Charbonnet. I'm not sure if I can even say his name properly. Look at the inability to tackle. Now, the Seahawks, give them credit. They blocked well on this day. Watch what they do with Charles Harris. This is a sick scheme to do. You'll get someone stepping to him, and there'll be an engagement where Harris is, trying to set the edge, trying to hold the edge and frame up the guy, and then the second player in motion goes and kicks him out. It's an evil scheme to do. Many teams do this, don't get me wrong. On toss, you can see that Harris is being engaged, kind of got his hands inside, face mask up under the chin, so he's kind of winning, getting some vertical press on that guy, and then the second tight end in motion decleats him. No tackling at all. Charbonnet gets 9 yards. Anzalone actually did a nice job on this screen on third down to get a stop. I think if the Seahawks had this back after playing this game, they would not be throwing screens on a 3rd and 10. They'd be throwing the ball downfield to Metcalf or over the middle to Lockett or one of the tight ends. One of the few plays that I thought good plays I thought you saw in these situations from the inside linebackers for the Lions. I did not think they played really well, particularly against the pass, and you'll see some of that show up throughout the video here. Third possession, and you're going to get a big completion to Noah Fant here. It's against James Houston IV, and I'm not sure how this matchup happens. There's Houston, and there's Fant. Houston just doesn't show good technique here. He's got to turn and go and stop looking at the quarterback. Smith has all day to throw the football. Gets it out there to Fant. Huge gain up the left side on a 1st and 10. Seahawks would miss a field goal there. And then the Lions would get a touchdown pass from Goff to Khalif Raymond. I think to go up 14-7 on this flea flicker. Looks like they were targeting Witherspoon on that. To the top side. I think he also had a defensive pass interference penalty in the game. So all is well at that point, especially once the Seahawks miss a field goal, miss another field goal, a second one, from 56 yards. This one with like less than 10 seconds left in the half. Lions get one last shot near the end of the quarter, end of the second quarter. They take a different tack than they did against the Chiefs, where Goff just throws it out of bounds. They attack down the field to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He makes the catch, fumbles almost immediately. But at the half, Lions are up 14-7, thanks to the 36-yard touchdown pass to Raymond, like I said. Things seem okay. Geno Smith is, however, 16 of 20 passing. But the Lions' defense had limited Kenneth Walker III to 13 yards on 10 carries. And Goff was sharp as well. I think he was 12 of 15. And then the first play of the third quarter, the Lions offense goes and turns the ball over. They had 3 turnovers. Maybe the one to St. Brown may not count in your mind because it was at the end of the second quarter. I'm fine with that. But 3 turnovers Sunday against the Seahawks. And then 2 turnovers last year in the 48-45 loss to the Seahawks. I didn't think that the Lions defense tackled well, and I thought the Seahawks blocked things very well up front, particularly in pass pro. It sounds like they got out physical to me. Again, I haven't watched all of the offense. Uchenna Nwosu makes 2 great plays in this game. Here's one of them. Forced fumble on Montgomery, who got hurt later on. Turns it over. First play of the third quarter. You're looking at the Lions to go down and score. They only punted once on the day, but 3 turnovers ended up really hurting, especially the pick 6. Kenneth Walker scores again, a little short run, 3-yard run to tie it up. And then once the Lions go up 21-14, Geno Smith just catches fire. From what I see, he just looks super comfortable, not pressured at all. Really, and if you're a Lions fan, you listen this long, first of all, thank you, because I'm obviously being quite critical. But second of all, tell me how similar this looks to you from last year. Maybe not the same concepts, but Geno Smith just was not under pressure, mental or physical pressure, even though there is pressure here from Aiden Hutchinson. You got a 5-yard completion to DK Metcalf, little 3-step concept. Another one to Metcalf, this one on a 1st and 10 play action, and the Lions are bringing heat this time. Metcalf wide open over the middle. It's kind of, pick your poison for the Lions. If you don't pressure him, if you don't bring heat, then Geno Smith was picking them apart. And if you do bring heat, then you kind of open yourselves up for stuff like this, 15 or 16-yard gain. Same drive, 1st and 10 from the 23. This is going to be one of the situations where you've got play action to one side, the tight end crossing, and I think it's Anzalone here, just recognizes it too late. I think it's Disley crosses his face wide open on a little under concept on play action under center. 3rd and goal from the 7. Look, you get an incompletion to JSN here. Down at the bottom side. Could have been a pick. Real opportunity, I think. And if you watch right before the play, I don't think Kirby Joseph is in great position in terms of being in a stance and ready to go. He's about a quarter of a step from picking that and taking it to the house. He's right here lined up over JSN. I think you get like a little speed out. Even here, I think it's 21-17 at this point after the field goal. A lot of pressure being brought by the Lions to force the quick throw. A great opportunity there for Kirby Joseph, who's got a great pair of hands, unable to come up with it, but does get the pass defense, forces a field goal. Even here, it's 21-17. And the Seahawks do have the ball inside Lions territory to start the fourth quarter, but it's 21-17. You got to feel like things are looking up. The Lions had gone for it on 4th down. I think it was an incomplete pass to Reynolds from Goff on a 4th down, somewhere near midfield. You get another tight end wide open on a similar concept. Fake the toss to this side and running underneath of the inside linebacker level. I think it's Malcolm Rodriguez, I'm not sure, who's unable to keep up with him. You're seeing flow to one side, whether it's toss, whether it's a stretch concept, and then the tight end crossing your face right in front of you. There's got to be a little bit more, I don't want to say hesitation, but a little bit more discipline on the backside to try to stay square with your feet and able to redirect. In this case, once Rodriguez puts on the brakes, Disley is already open. Nice throw by Geno Smith as well. You end up with a 2nd and 20 here after a penalty, an intentional grounding call against Smith, and this one is unconscionable. I'm sure this one pissed Lion fans off. It did me when I was watching. I get the defense film, so I watch all defensive plays. 2nd and 20, and Smith scrambles out of there. Huge moment. And then he scrambled on the next play. I think he scrambled on 2 consecutive plays to get the 1st down. Unfortunately for the Seahawks, the 2nd consecutive scramble, which I think was a 7-yard gain, got called back for a penalty. But it's an indication that the Lions were just out of options. They weren't getting pressure. They weren't covering well. And when they were, in order to get pressure, they had to bring extra heat blitzes, and they kind of opened themselves up more. I think this is a 3rd and 10. Seahawks love doing this. I've seen them do this the last 2 or 3 years. Lock it in the backfield and then motions out to the field to create trips where there had not been trips. Lions seem to communicate the coverage pre-snap, but then a fantastic throw from the other hash on the out to Lockett. 3rd and 10 from the 17, and this is a laser. Wide open. I mean, that is WAO. Incredible throw, don't get me wrong. Another touchdown, this one to Lockett. I think you've got a really slow reaction by Jacobs here. Lockett's running across the field from one side. He gets to like this area here, and Jacobs hasn't even really reacted. He's like stuck for a moment. Maybe he's looking for a whip route or a China out, whatever you want to call it. They got Metcalf kind of doubled up. Sutton doesn't leave Metcalf quick enough to be able to help Jacobs out because it's a tough route to cover from the other side of the field. Geno Smith waited a while. Great challenge by Jacobs, but the throw was perfect. Catch was great by Lockett. 24-21 Seattle. Lions ensuing possession. Weird situation. Pick 6. Not sure if the throw ends up on the top side of Gibbs or if he's just not looking. He's cutting to the inside. Throw is behind him. Lands right in Brown's hands. Now look, Uchenna Nwosu is the guy who had the quarterback pressure there. It seems like he's picking up right where he left off from last season. I thought he had a fantastic year in Seattle. Gets a quarterback hit here as Goff throws. Third turnover of the day for the Lions. Their offense only punted one time. I think they went for it on 4th down twice and didn't get it. 3 turnovers, one of which maybe you don't want to count. Like I said, the fumble by Amon-Ra St. Brown. They end up getting a touchdown pass to pull within 31-28, and then this field goal, as time expires, from 38 yards, ties it at 31. Lions fans probably had some hope. Okay, let's hold them to a field goal, but there was really no evidence they were going to be able to do that. If you ask me, just watch. Now I have the benefit of hindsight clearly because I watched this Monday night. Wasn't able to find time to watch it Sunday or Sunday night at all. But there really was not any indication that they were going to be able to get a stop. And here's further proof of that. Geno Smith goes 6 for 7 on this opening possession. He does convert 1 3rd down to Metcalf. This one is complete to Fant. This is the 3rd time that I thought they used this motion to get Fant over here with Metcalf. And all 3 times it was a pass concept, similar concept, if you ask me. So seems to be a lack of awareness for me from the Lions on this day. I don't foresee them doing that often. I think they've got too many damn good football players over there who probably are pretty pissed off this week, as well they should be. They wasted an opportunity to get to 2-0. Clearly injuries were a factor. Geno Smith in rhythm, play action concepts, in the shotgun. Everything was rolling for him in week 2. Wide open over the middle. In overtime, I mean, at any time in the NFL, you just can't let people be that open. All right, same possession, I think 4 plays later, Metcalf up at the top of the screen on a 3rd and 7. Gets 16 yards. This is a cool adaptation, trying to get himself open. Looks like a little bit of trail man, maybe by Jacobs, or maybe he's just beat that badly off the jump. But watch Metcalf end up on top of him. Jacobs is trailing kind of behind him on the inside. Metcalf gets here and he's going to give a little shoulder fake in this direction. And then that creates enough hesitation in Jacobs, holds him to allow Metcalf to get back to the inside. See that little shoulder fake? Smith puts it right on the money. That was the moment right there where the Lions had an opportunity to get a stop, get the football back in overtime, possibly win with a field goal on a day when you didn't play your best. They chose to go with man pressure. You can see man here, man there. And they're not able to get any help downhill here from the safety, who's reading the quarterback, doesn't see the route developing too late. That was pretty much the last opportunity, if you ask me, to be able to still win the game. Let me know how you feel as a Lions fan. I haven't watched the offense. I'm still getting the offense in my database. Hopefully Tuesday night, another tight end open on a play action over concept or under concept, whatever you want to call it. Still getting the Lions offense in my database. They certainly moved the ball over 400 yards of offense, just like last year, really. But the defense should be concerning. I understand there's Lions fans out there calling for Aaron Glenn's head. I mean, you can't blame them. You can't blame them for being pissed off, losing the home opener after going out and beating the Chiefs in week 1. Can't blame them at all. This is a 3rd and 2. A Lockett beats Branch barely, gets in, but he's got the first down either way. So even if it's, not a touchdown, let's say by some stroke of luck, it's not called a touchdown. They're still 1st and goal on the 1 with 3 or 4 shots to win the football game. And like I said, no indication that the Lions were going to be able to generate enough force to stop them in that situation. Do you probably have a hold here? Yeah, I think you do. All right. So if Lions fans want to complain about that, I got no problem. The tackle did let go after a moment, but that certainly looks like a situation where there's a hold. Look, 2nd year in a row that these two teams have played a great football game. It's difficult to appreciate that as a Lions fan, no doubt. But you are 1-1 after beating the Chiefs. Flip those 2 games. Say you lose to the Chiefs in a high-scoring game, and then you beat the Seahawks in a I don't want lower scoring game, 20-19, like week 1. You're probably content to start off 1-1 because everyone knew that it was going to be a difficult 2 weeks of the season. The Falcons are no pushover, particularly with Bijan Robinson. I'll have some film out later in the week of the Lions offense, particularly Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hopefully he's healthy. You guys let me know what you thought of the video. It was probably far too long for a lot of people's tastes. I wouldn't want to sit and watch critical evaluation of my team's defense, but that's kind of what I do on defense, and I do that for the Ravens when they play poorly on defense as well. There were a lot of holes. I don't think it's a sinking ship, but there were a lot of holes. Are they big holes that can't be patched up? No, because I think you guys played a really good brand of defense in week 1 against the Chiefs. Something was different this week. The penalties, the lack of physicality, I thought. To me, it looked like the Seahawks were the more physical team. If you're a Lions fan and you want to let me know what you think of that statement, how accurate that is, go right ahead in the comment section. If you think other Detroit fans would, I don't want to say enjoy this breakdown of watching their defense get shredded like that, but would like to watch it and maybe learn something or point things out to me that I missed, then feel free to grab a link to this video and share it somewhere on social media to help this content get more reach.